Hello and welcome to my build guide of the Warhammer 40,000 Conquest issue number 5. Special issue because this is the only way you can get this kind of exclusive Space Marine Primaris Lieutenant Calsius. He comes with issue 5. Typically for lieutenants, well, the Blood Angel one and the Dark Angels one are both £15 on Games Workshop's website. Recently they had a store exclusive model, 500 stores. They sold this one at £20. So if you were to say that they would sell this lieutenant at £20, then you're already saving £12 if you were going to get him separately. Anyway, the whole purpose of this video, like all of the others, is to just go through a step-by-step guide on how, I say, not a professional, but an experienced hobbyist builds this. So if you're new to the hobby, these videos are great because you'll pick up lots of hints and tips and tricks, maybe some shortcuts as well. You can watch the video, you can listen to my voice, you can have a look at all the steps that I undertake. This Conquest subscription is essentially aimed at newcomers to the hobby. It's quite an expensive subscription though if you're going to be new. I mean, let's face it, it's £32 a month. There are lots of other things you can obviously spend £32 on, but if you have chosen to do it this way and you've only just got into Warhammer 40,000, you didn't get into it like last year or a few years ago, this is a great way of building up 2 armies and a load of scenery. So this is in the same fashion as my other Conquest build guides. So this is issue 5. This is the sprue that you get. As always, I've got ample lighting, I've got a huge cutting mat, I've got the tools that the subscription comes with, which are the clippers, the scraper and the glue. I will be using other tools and I will introduce them when I use them, so as not to confuse anyone. So if we open up the magazine, there's a fair bit about Space Marine Lieutenants. Of course, there's even more information in the Space Marine Codex, Adeptus Astartes or Space Marines Codex. It's the largest one. I think it sets you back 208 pages, and if you're into Space Marines, you're into Primaris Space Marines, then this is the book to get. I think it retails for about £25 or £30, but as you can see, it gives you a full backstory and kind of detailed descriptions of all the units in a Space Marine force. Particularly if we go to commanders, you've got commanders here, you've got chapter masters, captains and lieutenants. So lieutenants were first implemented in the Codex by Roboute Guilliman. Upon his return, they act as the right hands of their captains, providing flexibility and helping to direct their battle brothers in engagements. Battle companies are frequently divided into 2 battle demi-companies in order to spread their forces across multiple combat zones. The command of a demi-company falls to a lieutenant who leads his brothers unflinchingly into battle. Other chapters give these warriors an extra duty, such as being a bodyguard to a captain. Others, such as a naismith for Iron Hands, allowing them to question their captains for errors in their logic. So lieutenants are kind of a new thing for Space Marines, but as I say, more information in the Space Marine Codex if you choose to go down that route and build up a full force, which you will do with this subscription service. So Primaris Lieutenant Calsius is a Space Marine of the Ultramarine 2nd Company, a veteran of the Indomitus Crusade, which has been going on for about 200 years. He's even served on the same field of battle as Primarch Roboute Guilliman. Striding into battle with bolt pistol and power sword held aloft, Lieutenant Calsius knows no fear. Obviously, there you go. So his weaponry is the power sword and the bolt pistol. There's some examples of some power weapons and more power weapons, and a little bit of story about Nova Thulium. And this is your essentially the parts, how to clip them off, and your build guide. So this is where we'll be getting the information from to build him. So first things first, what I do with every sprue is I just make sure that there are all of the parts. It doesn't say how many parts are here in this little guide, but it doesn't seem like any are missing from the sprue. So what I like to do is go ahead and just clip them off the sprue. Now I remember when I first started the hobby, people would sort of like kind of break them, bend them off the sprue. You get clippers with a subscription, and if you don't have any clippers, try and borrow some off, you know, your dad or whoever. You clip in plastic, it's not going to do them any damage, but it just makes your job a bit easier later on. Normally I like to clip the parts off, same as the build guide. So we've got part 1 and part 2 there, which looks to be the back of the Space Marine and the chest piece. So we'll clip those off using these clippers. I mean, they're okay clippers, they do the job. I prefer my clippers, which are Games Workshop ones as well. I got these a few years ago, but this is what they look like. If you see them around, they're worth picking up, but it's just a little bit less, they're a bit gentle. You can't see the spring, I want to call it. It's all kind of hidden in the mechanism, but they do bounce back, as you can see, and they just feel nice in the hand. But I just thought I'd show you a comparison with mine. So once I've clipped these two parts off, I'll then clean them up. And what I mean by that is I will use a knife. They don't give you a knife in this set, but when I first started at the age of about 11 or 12, I had like one of these little hobby knives. So what I will do is just, it's difficult to do this on camera because the model's so far away from me, but I will just now cut away the excess on the model on both the pieces where I've cut it from the sprue. Obviously try not to go too deep in the model itself. So I'm happy with that. Then what I will do is, although you don't get a file in the set, I recommend you pick up some files. You can get them from Games Workshop store as well. What I do is I will just have a look at any mold lines. If I can just zoom in there for you, enhance, as you can see there, that is a mold line. So basically you get one of those when the model is like punched out of the mold, and you can see it quite there, and also where I've just cut that bit away, you can just tidy that up with a file. Recommend you do that, because otherwise it's just gonna look like a model at the end of the day with this mold line. Now, instead of using the file, you can of course use the mold line scraper. It's a bit rough in its application, and if you're not careful you can scrape off a bit too deeply, and also it's hard to get in all the nooks and crannies. Doesn't give you a hugely smooth finish, and like right in there it's difficult to get into. So that's why I do prefer the file, and then it just smooths everything together. Okay, once I'm happy with that and the mold lines are removed, if you can actually remove the mold lines once it's glued together, if you can still get into the nooks and crannies. Also it then gives you the option of smoothing out any kind of glue smudges, I want to call them, where you put the glue to the model and you squeeze and a little bit of glue comes out. Once that's dry, you can then file that away, no problem. So I use a mixture of glues. I tend to mix it up. Sometimes I will use Citadel plastic glue, it's absolutely fine. Or I recommend the Revell Contactor Professional. Now, Revell also make a glue in a pot with a brush. Just make sure it's obviously plastic glue. And what plastic glue does is it essentially melts a little bit of the plastic on either side, and then it sort of bonds it together. It's different to super glue, where super glue doesn't melt anything. That's why super glue can be incredibly strong, but also quite brittle. So using Games Workshop's plastic glue that you get in the set, it shows you on the guide in the yellow where to apply the glue. Now, I'm notorious for adding a bit too much glue, so you've really got to be quite conservative and just put a very small dab. Try not to get any on the model itself. If you're using a cutting board, I've always found that it might be worth just putting this on a bit of a tissue or something, so that if you do get any glue drip onto the cutting board, it doesn't smudge one of the lines, especially if you've got an expensive one. Okay, and then you only need to put glue on one side, and then you slot it together, and that is going to be dry in about 5 to 10 minutes. Doesn't take long at all. As you can see, there are a little bit of mold lines there where the glue's joined, so once it's dry, again, you can just file that away. So what I'm going to do is skip forward the video and repeat these steps for all of the rest of the parts. Okay, so a bit of a change in the lighting. So what I'm going to do now is just go through the rest of the build guide. Now, they've kind of got a lot of parts going on here, so I'll clip all of those parts off. So we're looking at 3, 4, 5 and 6, which are these. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Just the other arm. 3, 4, 5 and 6. Tidy these ones up. Okay, I'll just tidy these up a bit more. You can see a big mould line there. And this sword might be a bit tricky. Okay, yeah, swords are normally tricky with the length of them and also the pommels. They yeah, notorious for some mould lines. Difficult for me to see because I'm quite far away from the model itself. I think I've got most of it though. Okay, there we go. I'm happy with that. So now just glue these all together. There you go. Okay, so happy with all those. Now using the same process before, use a bit of this glue and glue the pieces. It can be in any order really, but I find the leg to go on quite well. So we'll put that on there, like so. At the same time, we can do this leg. I'm guessing it's sort of there. And then we put that like so. It's quite an odd angle, this leg. This will happen. So you just got to find the right angle. There we go, that's the right angle. Yeah, brilliant. That's the right angle right there. So that's okay. I'm going to crack on with the arms. Now, both of these arms need to touch each other. Put a dab of glue on one side, and then what I'll do is I'll actually grow some more fingers and put a very small dab of glue on the other side. And then if I can, it's very, very tricky. Do that, and then put a small dab of glue there, and then hopefully these will match up like so. There you go. That will just match up with that and fit. Lovely. So now we've got them done, we can then look at the other parts, which are all of these. So parts, the last parts are just the purity seals to go on. So you've got, yeah, you've got 7, 8, 9, 11, 12 and 13. So we'll get these off the sprue. So that includes this pistol and the shoulder pauldrons, also the head. I'm going to do the helmeted head, I think, for this one. And the power pack. And what I'll do is I might as well just get the shoulder pauldrons off as well. So 14 is on the left side. So with pieces like this, I keep them on the side that it's saying. So 14 is on the left, and then this number 10 is on the right. So we'll keep that on the right, and then we kind of know where we stand. That's the sprue with no parts on. Let's just finish these up and we'll get the base. So we might as well just get the base now. It's your standard base. It may need a bit of cleaning up, so just chip away a few of the parts, especially like this little bubble. So chip that off, and I like to file that down too, nice and smooth, so when it comes to painting the base you won't get any abnormalities there. Like so, and just a bit of a flat file to clean that base up. Like So that base is ready for him to go on. Let's just clean these parts up. You can take a little bit off the head there. That's not going to be used, so that'll be a spare part. Put that to one side. And then the helmet, head, just clean these up too. Power packs are always difficult. They always attach them onto the sprue at really awkward places, like up here. I think the older Space Marines were on each of the vents, which is a pain. There you go. And then we might as well just clean up these purity seals too. That's fine. That's fine also. Right. Just a quick tidy up. Oh, big piece of mist there. There we go. That's the head done. That's quite good. It's got the Ultramarines logo on there, so if you've got any spare shoulder pauldrons, you can actually use those instead, which I might do actually if I've got my bits box near me. It's always tricky to get these smooth on the vents. Like so. And purity seals as well. Okay, I'm happy with those. So now what I'll do is glue it to the base and add all the other parts. Okay, so we can just attach him, dab of glue there, and a little bit there, pop him on the base, just going to put the head in there too. Now attach all the other parts as well, such as the power pack. Go like that. And then the shoulder pauldrons. Bolt pistol goes there. And then the purity seals left to right. One looks like it goes on his power pack. Looks like it just goes on that bit there. So add a little bit of glue. And then we'll just affix it to there. Yeah, that looks like it works. And then the other one attaches just there on the side. Somehow. It's there apparently. That goes with the longest down. Like that. There you go. You might need to sort of move these purity seals in place. But I'm quite happy with that. Yep. There you go. So there you go. That is the model complete. Zoom in. So that's what you should get in the end. Very decent looking lieutenant model. About to remove that power sword, striding forward. Yeah, fantastic looking model. And there ends my build guide. So all that's left to do is just do a review of the model, which I'll be doing next, and I'll include all of the rules in it. So join me in his final review video. See you in a moment.